Hi, everybody. Jess Steele here. Based on questions and feedback I've received from teachers, I thought it might be helpful to give an overview of the iReady lesson options and resources available. There are four main categories, and last week we were enrolled in a 4-hour webinar. So I'm kind of stealing my information from what they shared with us in hopes that I can condense it and make it useful for us, for teachers. So the overview for learning options is that we have a printable at-home activity pack available to us. We also have iReady online lessons available. And within this category, there are MyPath lessons that iReady automatically sets up based on how students performed in their diagnostic. There are teacher-assigned lessons, and there's a teacher toolbox. I'm going to go over each one and show you a little bit about these four options. The first one is a printable at-home activity. This is a screenshot of the area of the web page where this resource exists. When I share my presentation with you afterwards, this is also a link to get to this page. You have to scroll down a bit to get to these activity packs in grades K through 8. The second option is the MyPath lessons that are automatically programmed into students' computers. So those of you who have already started assigning lessons to students, your kids are already working based off of their diagnostic results and where they're doing well and where they might need some growth. So what happens here is iReady is going to assign one lesson at a time based on those skill sets that students showed in each domain. And their recommendation to us is that we monitor the MyPath results and at the time kids are spending on it, so we can get a read on who we might need to intervene more with and what resources we might want to use to do that. iReady also feels strongly about making sure we're strategic about how we assign lessons. So their recommendation is that we assign lessons one day in advance. That was largely because of processing time. They said because there's been such an increase in the amount of students on iReady because it's free now, and with learning from home being so abundant for so many schools and students, there can be a lag time. So they recommend a day in advance to assign lessons. They recommend 45 to 90 minutes of lesson work for students per subject per week, or 3 to 5 lessons per subject per week. They also have a focus on standards when they're assigning lessons. And so I'm going to show you that option to see, for those of you who are interested in that, to see if that's of interest. And I think that could be super helpful for some students for sure. So assigning teacher lessons based on standards. This is the pathway to get there. I'm actually going to click out of my presentation to show you how to get there. And this is the PDF that you're going to be looking for that I've screenshot here. So we're going to go to our iReady dashboard in a second, and we're going to go to the Help button and scroll a little bit down. And we're going to be looking for the Massachusetts reading correlations PDF file, and we're going to look specifically for page 62 through the end because the first part of the packet is really designed for younger grades. So I'm going to click out here for a second and go over to my iReady dashboard. So I'm in my iReady dashboard, and you're automatically going to be set up to go down to an instruction path when you log in now, because that's available to us. And what we want to do is go over to this Help button up here and click on it. And you want to scroll all the way down to the bottom to this box right here where you see state correlations for iReady lessons. And for the Massachusetts reading correlations, you want to click on that one. And when you open the PDF, you're going to see that big packet I talked about. And we're going to go to page 62 here, because that's where 6th grade starts. And when you go to page 62, you're going to see if a student's struggling with citing textual evidence to support their analysis of what a text states. If you notice that's happening, here are 3 different lessons that align with that standard or skill that iReady recommends students take. So you can choose one of these 3 lessons based on the area of need you see for the student. So this is organized by standards. This is one way to sort out which lessons you want to assign to students and what might make sense as next steps. Then the next thing to know is sort of how teacher assigning lessons work. And I just wanted to show you quickly how you can filter them. So you can filter them by domain, grade, or particular skill. And the pathway to getting there is going to go to assess and teach, instruction, and then reading. And there are a couple of different ways to assign. So if we go back over to my dashboard, we're going to go back into, I'm just going to go reset to the home page, and I'm going to go to assess and teach. When I click on assess and teach, I want to go over here to these 3 options and go into instruction. And then I'm going to see online instruction reading. Click on that. And then I'm going to see a couple of options. I'm going to be able to go in here if I want to monitor how students are doing on their assigned online lessons or in their MyPath lessons. And over here, this is, after monitoring, if we've noticed we want to adjust something, we can do that in this pathway. But for right now, what I want to show you is when you scroll down and you go down to these lesson names, you'll see here there's a whole bunch of lessons. And one way you can filter them is by using the correlation standards that I just showed you and put in the name here, and the lessons will pop up. You can also filter by domain. And then over here, you can also filter by grade level. So I'm going to put in grade 7, and here are some of the skills that come up. Once you click on one of these, it's going to populate up here and say assign online lessons. And then you're going to decide if you want to assign the lessons to whole classes, specific report groups, or individual students. And then down here, you're going to click next, and it's going to then give you a verifier to implement it into that student's online lessons. Also, teachers can preview lessons. We can go to a specific lesson in the area I was just in, and we can look at what the instructional path says. We could even look at example questions from the quiz to see what students are seeing when they take this. It also shows us the estimated time for a lesson. So I'm going to come back over here, make sure I'm in assess and teach, and I am. And I'm just going to scroll down to another lesson. This time I'm going to go to grade 8. And I'm going to go understanding connotative measures or meanings, I mean. And when I click on it, oh, I'm going to be booted out for a minute. So I'm going to log back in. Do this again. And then I'm going to see this screenshot that's in my PowerPoint. So if I want to look at the objectives for connotative meanings and what students are getting in this vocabulary domain, these are the 2 objectives that iReady is letting us know they're focused on. These are also the standards that correlate with this vocabulary focus. So you can preview the instruction here. You can go on in, and they're going to show you some about the activities and what the kids are going to see. And then you can also look at examples of quiz questions. So that's a pretty cool feature. For me, it also gives me ideas of different lessons I could try with students or different ways of thinking about targeting a specific skill with a student. So that's a little bit about online iReady lessons and specifically when teachers assign them. The next thing that we're going to look at is the teacher toolbox. And with the teacher toolbox, we're going to go in through Teach and Assess again, and I'm going to show you how to get to the teacher toolbox. It's important for you to know that it's a separate platform, so it will open into its own tab, and you may have to set up a login. The free license code that we have right now from our representative is iReady TBX 2020. And there is a wealth of resources in here, some printables, some teacher instructions. There's also assessments. And these are for whole class and for small group differentiation. So let me click out of my presentation. We can go over there. So we're first going to make sure that we're in the same space. So when you log into iReady, this is your home base. This is your default. We're going to go back to Assess and Teach. And when you're in Assess and Teach, you'll notice resources here. We have tools for instruction and teacher toolbox. We're going to go down to teacher toolbox to see these resources. And then you're going to set up your account. I think I just used my Newton information to set this up. I'm going to log in. You're also going to have to use the code in these steps. So you can use my presentation to get the code. Click reading, go to grade 6. And then here are the PDFs and scope and sequence for a bunch of different units and skills in iReady. So in Unit 1, it's the unit opener, and it shows you like lesson 1 through 4, the specific skills that students would be working on in this unit. You can look at the interactive tutorials for a whole class on this specific standard and skill. It gives you an iReady instruction book, gives you small group, teacher-led, or reteaching to review things with students. I know I'll be using this one with my struggling readers, I'm sure, once I see how they do on the MyPath activities. And when you scroll down, you'll see there's quite a bit here. What I love most about it is that it's organized by skill and by standard. So that helps us given how Newton structured our distance learning for each week. And then if you go over here, you can also get some assessment practice. So you can have a way to check in with kids to see, are they getting it? Which things are working, which things might they need a little more support with. So you can kind of like search around through here and see what you find or see what you want to use or what makes sense for you and your kiddos. I took this screenshot from the webinar that iReady gave to us. They were telling us that the virtual hands-on learning experience is available through these toolbox activities. It really is usually very interactive, can keep the discourse alive, which I think is true of all of the iReady online lessons I've seen so far anyway. They're very differentiated. They're super interactive with students to keep them engaged. So my hope is this presentation just gives you some ideas of what your options are in iReady. And going back to, our 4 basic paths here, I'm sure questions are going to come up about these resources. I'm still learning this too. I know our coach team is working hard to learn this also. So if we can help you with any questions or we can learn side by side with you, we're happy to do that. And we're happy to explore options and then shoot you out an email or a quick screencast to show you how to access things also. So I hope your students are enjoying iReady. I hope you're kind of excited about using these free online tools. It's pretty cool that we have this opportunity. Let us know if you need anything. and take care of you and your families, and be well. Okay?